High school basketball tryouts are gonna be here in the blink of an eye. And today I wanted to continue the series that I've been doing over the last few weeks on skills that you should show off to stand out in your high school basketball tryouts. Now, if you've been following along, you know that in the past couple of weeks, we've covered how to show off your control on the court, and we've covered how to show off your communication on the court. Well, today, we're gonna dive into how to show off your hustle that'll get noticed by coaches. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Hard Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help basketball players become the smart, confident players that coaches love. So this week we're talking about hustle. And when you hear the word hustle, you may think of, you may have images of what hustle means. But I want to talk about what we don't mean by hustle, what we're not going to talk about today, and what we do mean by hustle, and the right kind of hustle that's going to make you stand out in your tryouts. We are not talking about kiss-ass hustle. I mean, there's no better term for it, right? You know those players that are just hustling to kind of kiss ass. And we're not talking about that. We're not talking about poor basketball IQ hustle. And I mean by that is, those hustle plays that makes it look like you're hustling, but it actually takes you out of defensive position maybe, or hurts your team in the scheme of things, right? But it sure looks like you're hustling, but it was a play that you shouldn't really be making. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about either. What I'm talking about today is the kind of hustle that, one, will not just make you stand out in your high school tryouts, it'll make you stand out as a player throughout your entire career. So I'd like you to make these things habits. But why it stands out, why these three areas that I'm going to share today stand out so much in tryouts and coaches love them so much, is because coaches look at these three kind of hustle tips that I'm going to give you today and they go, one, boy, I can see how that player is a high IQ player. Even if you're not the best player, even if you're just on the edge of making a team, coaches look and go, yeah, but they make some high IQ hustle plays. Number two, the types of hustle we're talking about are culture builders, okay? Coaches are always looking to build the culture of their team. And so if your contribution to a team can be helping the coach build a culture, let me tell you something, that stands out to a coach. And that is a reason that they are going to want you on their team as well, okay? And when it comes down to two players kind of equal level, let me tell you something. They are going to take the high IQ culture builder over the player that maybe is just as good, but doesn't show off the right kinds of hustle. So I'm going to get into those three ways that you can show off in tryouts your good hustle. Before I do, always like to give you a free gift. If you haven't already downloaded the 8 intangible skills that coaches love to see in players, this is the perfect time to do it because we're approaching tryouts. And you should be reviewing these skills, okay? These are a great review. Maybe some of them are gonna be new to you. I put them in a checklist form. I give you some ways that you can show them off. And you can download those by going to the link in the description below or simply going to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles and I'll be sure to get you that free gift. Okay, so what are these three ways that you can show off hustle? The first way is having a great mistake response. What do I mean by a mistake response? Mistakes happen on the basketball court. Every player is going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes on the basketball court. It's how you respond to your mistakes that stands out to your coach, okay? And a lot of players, I'd even say the majority of them, respond poorly to mistakes. They hang their head. They mumble to themselves. They look up in the stands for, some support from family, friends, right? They jog back on defense. They let the mistake affect their play on the court, even if it's for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, the next possession. It doesn't matter. Great players, high IQ players, realize that that is not only a waste of time, but a good way to get pulled out of the game, good way to get on a seat next to the coach on the bench. Okay? Great players have a great mistake response. When they have a mistake happen, they've made it a habit to increase their energy, to make up for the mistake with a great next play. If they get a ball stolen from them, they're hustling to back tap and get the ball back. They're hustling to get back on defense. If they make a mistake on, defense, they're making sure to not compound that mistake by not playing, not being fully present on the offensive end. If they miss a shot, they're on to the next play. And coaches notice this. They are sometimes they'll be described as, oh, that's a coach's favorite. They leave them in the game no matter how many mistakes they make. No, doesn't matter. Everybody makes mistakes. It's how they respond to the mistakes. You want to be a coach's favorite? Respond great to your mistakes. Have a great mistake response. That's number one. Number two, I like to call it the extra step, but it can be beyond that, right? It's human nature to, when you're running a liner or running a drill, as you finish the drill, as you finish the liner, to let up a little bit before the line, to let up just a little bit, just one extra step, just maybe a couple of steps, to go from, you might be sprinting the first 98% of the drill, the first 98% of the liner. But if you let up those last 2 steps, that's what the coach notices. And especially if you're the player that has taken that extra step, running through the line, running through the drill, completing the conditioning, completing whatever it is, you stand out. You stand out to the coach because you're in comparison to all these players that are letting up 1 or 2 steps before the drill. If a coach gives you a certain number of reps to do, be the player that does 1 extra rep. You don't think that stands out? I want you to do, 10 of these in an individual setting, right? I want you to do 10 of these reps. You do 11. You don't think a coach notices that? 1 extra step, 1 extra rep. When there's a break in a drill, those drills where, it's in constant rotation, it's in practice or in tryouts, and there's a break, somebody's just not in position, or there's just a gap, be the player that jumps in an extra rep, an extra drill. Be that player that keeps the flow going for the entire gym. These are culture builders. You don't think coaches notice? Oh yeah, that player jumps in, extra step. They're always running through the line. They're always finishing the drill. They're always doing an extra rep. They're always jumping in a spot where we need somebody. Culture builders. Coaches want culture builders on their team. And the third way that you can show off your hustle is by celebrating your teammates' hustle and great plays. What do I mean by that? Before the coach even has to describe what they want their culture to be the player that, if a player takes a charge, you're the player sprinting over and helping them off the floor and celebrating that. A player makes especially a tough defensive play or a rebound or something, when there's a break in the action, be the player that goes over and high-fives them, congratulates them, celebrates those really tough, gritty, hard-nosed plays that coaches love. Be the player that celebrates the pass that leads to a shot, not necessarily the shot. You don't think coaches notice that? That's a high IQ thing. Oh, we're going to celebrate the unselfishness. We're going to celebrate the pass. We're going to celebrate making the right play. Culture builders. Okay? So those are 3 ways that you can show off your hustle. Definitely it'll stand out to your coach and might make the difference on you making the team, making a starting lineup, whatever the case might be. I want you to practice having a great mistake response. I want you to concentrate on that 1 extra step, that 1 extra rep, that 1 extra drill, 1 extra. And then I want you to celebrate your teammates' tough, hard-nosed, high IQ basketball plays. You do those three things, I guarantee you, your hustle will stand out. And that's what I got for you this week. If you like this content, please give me a like below. Give me a comment. Are you going to focus on these things in your tryouts? Did this kind of, light a fire under you that hustle doesn't have to be, that kind of show-off hustle? It can be good, high IQ, culture-building hustle. And until next week, remember to play hard, play smart, and play together. See you next week.